So this whole MrBeast Riddle challenge thing that happened literally yesterday was horrible. It was horrible. He said, clear your weekend, it won't be easy. And the thing is, he planned this challenge to be ended in 2 months in September. And you know how long it took? 7 hours. And that's because if a regular person was to play this, it is virtually impossible to beat it. Literally, it is 100% impossible for a regular person without any programming or hacking knowledge to beat this. So I am going to go through my process and what was wrong with this website and why it wasn't possible. So the challenge starts off with you just going through some YouTube videos, and I think it also like the third or fourth step has to do something with some Morse code in the video, which is pretty easy. You just slap the video in like Vegas or something, and then you can just find the marks where the actual, Morse code was, because there was big spikes in the audio because it plays a loud ass audio file or loud ass noise in the background. So it was pretty easy to get that. Now everything else is pretty self-explanatory until you got to the point where you sign up for the websites and you have to get a QR code and find a QR code. Now why that was so bad is because the QR codes not only loaded at literally the slowest speed on earth, but it was so bad that you had to refresh the page maybe about 4 or 5 times and get into the hundreds of QR codes to even find it. Now if a regular person was to do that, that would take hours because the website loaded super slow, and of course sometimes none of the QR codes on the website even worked. So what was the quickest solution? Brute forcing the QR codes. If you simply sent an API request with a BitLagoon code as a cookie, then you could consistently go through QR codes without any rate limit, scan the address that it actually sends you to, and just check if it's the right one. Simple as that. And after you get there, you get sent to a phone emulator, which is what he said in the original video. Once you get to the phone emulator, you have to do some stuff with calling numbers and finding codes and stuff. Everything was self-explanatory until you got to the dictionary part. So there was one step where you have to get a dictionary, and with the dictionary you have to go to the 69th entry. That was the rule. And the issue with this is that not only was the API having a fucking stroke trying to load the next values of the dictionary, but there was no counter on the actual dictionary app. So you had to manually count the 69th entry and click the same exact time and manually count it yourself until you get to 6969. Now that seems really hard to do, so we made a brute forcer, and we brute forced the actual dictionary words simply by sending an API link or posting to an API link with the value of the next word in the dictionary, and keep going until the index reaches 6969. Simple as that. Now that program itself took about 15 minutes to go through 69 entries. Now imagine a regular person doing that and manually counting. How long would that take? After you do that, there's a few more puzzles and you have to go through a few more things on the phone app, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's nothing really bad, but then once you get out of the phone app and to the other websites, that's when it gets pretty bad. The next issue was that you had to go through a little really shitty copy of Flappy Bird. It was called Flappy Carl. Now, first thing I noticed is that they spelled Carl wrong in the actual title of the website, and this was, oh man, this was absolutely fucking terrible. So the website was coded in God knows how many minutes. I know this didn't take hours, but the character, once you start it, there's a very high chance that you fall through the screen, and there's a very high chance that you die by something invisible, or there's just a duplicate amount of pipes or fucking barriers that just show up, and it's really hard to get through. So how do we pass this? This is what everybody got stuck on, by the way. Nobody knew how to actually pass this. So what did we do? We hacked the game. We just edited the source code, we replaced the script file with our code, and we simply just got to 100. They expected you to get to 100 on this game. Now after that, you get to this timer website, and on this timer website, you have to hold down this start button for 69 seconds, and you have to let go on 69 seconds exactly. Now the thing about this is where it gets literally impossible, is that this number is to the 1,000th of a second. So that means you have to let go of this and hit 69 on 1,000th of a second exactly. No higher, no less. Now that itself I don't think is actually humanly possible unless it's just really lucky. So we created macros to actually do that for us. I used a macro and I was getting it 5 milliseconds off, 2 milliseconds off, less than a millisecond off, and my friend actually made a better macro that actually ended up working, and he got 69 seconds exactly. Now the thing about this is that it said 69, but the data it was sending to the server wasn't 69 because he wouldn't progress. So we looked at what the data it was sending to the API was. So we looked at it, and there was a value named delta p, which is what is displayed on the screen. And then there's a value called delta j and calculated time. They're the same values, but calculated time is literally down to the thousandth of a second. It's a fraction of a thousandth of a second. Now, if I know my math properly, I did some research. I don't know if this is correct, but in technical terms, that is a picosecond. That is a picosecond. I don't know what the fuck that is, but that is a trillionth of a second. You have to get that down to a trillionth of a second. I think that's correct. I might not be, but if anything, I'm fucking close. That is a picosecond. A trillionth of a second. That means when you use that, you have to get that down to the trillionth of a second, which is humanly impossible. Unless you have programs, which apparently is not allowed. So how does MrBeast expect us to do this? God knows how. So to pass that, we said, alright, let's just try faking data. And that's what we did. We edited the source of the script file. We made it so that once we click the button, it'll automatically set calculated time to 69.000, and it sends that to the server. We did that and we went through. It was really bad. I don't understand how MrBeast ever expected anybody to do this normally, but this was literally impossible to do without any programs. So regardless, it says it in the terms of service. I don't care if I get disqualified. The first place winner is going to get disqualified because he literally works for HackerOne, a group dedicated to finding bug bounties and solving puzzles. Like it's literally a group dedicated to it. I promise you that every single person who has passed this so far has some sort of programming knowledge, and it sucks. This is not a riddle. This is a capture the flag. It's horrible. It's a capture the flag for programmers, bro. This is garbage. Hopefully you can do something a little better, but this looks like this did not take a month to do. It's not like this website took months to do. Maybe it took months for planning, but making the actual website and all that stuff took God knows how many hours, bro, because this shit fucking is ass. So that is about it. Hopefully MrBeast can do something about this. He's probably not going to, but I hope he just knows that every person who has actually entered this used some sort of program. And let me tell you, that shit sucked. That's it. Peace out, guys.